systems by graphing and substitution. Now we're going to solve by elimination. First, we have to line up the equations with your x's and y's and equal signs. Then you multiply one or both equations by a number to result in a variable with the same coefficient. Add or subtract the equations. I tend to always add and just negate a whole equation. Solve for the remaining variable and substitute it in. Okay, so let's start with some easy ones. The first one, if I negate this bottom line, I would have an x and a negative x. So let's start by doing that. So let's rewrite it. X plus 7y equals 17. And then I'm going to negate this second line, and it becomes negative x plus y equals 7. And I like to just add straight up and down. My x's cross out because I have opposites. 7y plus y is 8y. 17 plus 7 is 24. Alright, so obviously we divide by 8, so then y equals 3. Once you have your y, you could plug it into either equation. I like to use the original. So x minus, I'm going to put a 3 in. X minus 3 equals negative 7. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. X must be negative 4. So now that I have an x and a y, make sure you put your answer in ordered pair. So negative 4, comma 3, and that's your final answer. I love elimination. It's one of my favorite ways to solve. So number 2, I already have my opposites, so I actually don't need to change any of these equations. I'm just going to start by adding straight up and down. Right, so I'm going to do everything up and down. So 3x plus 5x is 8x. The y's actually eliminate. I'm going to use my calculator. 22 plus 42 is 64. So this is a nice easy one because I divide by 8 and I get x equals 8. You could use either equation. I'll use the top equation to plug it in. And now we're just going to solve for y. 3 times 8 is 24 plus 2y equals 22. I would subtract the 24. So I get negative 2 equals 2y. And then divide by 2. So I get y equals negative 1. So I have my x, I have my y. You do need to put it into an ordered pair. Alright, so let's move on to one where we have to manipulate it even further. So looking at number 3, I have 4x minus 9y equals negative 42, and I have x plus 5y. There's no opposites. There's nothing I could just negate, so I need to multiply one of these. I'm going to multiply this bottom equation by a negative 4. That way I can have a positive 4 and a negative 4. So I'm going to rewrite the equations over here so I could add. So 4x minus 9y equals negative 42. I'm going to multiply by negative 4 when I rewrite it over here, so negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 5y is, make that a negative. You know what, I'm just going to write it, negative 20y. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. And we're going to add straight up and down. Negative 9 plus negative 20 would be negative 29y. So negative 42 plus negative 16 is negative 58. And then I'm going to divide negative 58 by negative 29. And I get y equals 2, which is a nice easy number. So I'm going to plug it back into the original equation. X plus 5 times 2 equals 4. X plus 10 equals 4. X must be negative 6, so I have negative 6, comma 2. And we make that into our ordered pair. Let's do number 4. Number 4, same thing. I need to multiply one of these equations. I'm going to multiply, I think I'm going to change this to a positive 6, so I need to multiply all this by a negative 2. That way I could have opposites here. So let's rewrite the top equation like normal. I'm going to multiply the bottom so it becomes negative 4x plus 6y. Now I have my opposites. Negative 13 times negative 2 is positive 26. And now I'm just going to add straight up and down. So negative 53 plus 26 is negative 27. These eliminate. 7 plus negative 4 is positive 3x. Divide by 3. X equals negative 9. Okay, so then you can plug it into either equation. I guess I'll take the top one. 7 times negative 9 minus 6y equals negative 53. We're going to do 7 times negative 9 minus 6, or don't put that, do the 7 times negative 9. I get negative 63 minus 6y equals negative 53. So now I added the 63 over and I get 10. Divide by negative 6. Ew, this is going to be a fraction. So y equals negative 5/3. And then I write it as an ordered pair. Let's do one where we have to multiply the top and the bottom. So sometimes, right, there's nothing I can multiply to get 5. There's nothing I can multiply to get 7. So what do? I'm going to multiply this by, let's do negative 5. And this one by 2. That way I could get a 10 and a negative 10. So the top will become 10x plus 6y equals negative 14. The bottom becomes negative 10x minus 14y equals negative 15. And we're going to add them up and down. So that cancels. 6 plus negative 14 is negative 8y. Negative 14 plus negative 15 . Ew, why am I getting a yucky number? I get negative 29. Now y equals 3.625, so let's plug that into an original. Oh, I know why, because I didn't multiply this right. Hold on, I messed this all up. I multiplied this by negative 5. That should be negative 35. So, what's 6 plus negative 35 is negative 29. So this should be a 1. All right, that makes more sense. Okay, so 7 times 1. So 2x plus 7 equals 3. So I get negative 4 equals 2x. And then divide by 2, so x equals negative 2. Oh my goodness. So I messed that up. That should have been a 35. I multiplied that negative 5 wrong. All right, let's jump to the back. So now let's look at an applications problem. So it says define your variables, set up 2 equations, solve them with the method of your choice. So now we're using word problems for systems. So Marcy bought a total of 20 used books and CDs for a yard sale for a total of $54.50. If books cost $1.50 each and CDs cost $5 each, how many of each did she buy? So you have B is books, C is CDs, which you guys don't even use anymore. So you bought books and CDs and you had 20 of them. All right, that would be my first equation. My next one was if books are $1.50, so 1.5B plus $5 for CDs equals $54.50. Right, so I have my total of books and then I have the total price. Honestly, I would use substitution. So I would change this into B equals 20 minus C, and I would plug that in here. So 1.5 times 20 minus C plus 5C equals 54.50. So let's multiply this. So 1.5 times 20. So we have 30 minus 1.5 C plus 5C equals 54.50. I would combine these. So I have 30 plus 3.5C equals 54.50. I would subtract 30 from both sides. So I get 3.5C equals 24.5. So then I divide. So C equals 7. So I have 7 CDs. So that's very easy to figure out how many books. So I must have 13 books. All right, we could do one more. So let's do number 10. Landon babysits and works part-time at a water park. 1 week he babysat 3 hours and worked at the water park for 10 hours and made $109. So B is going to be babysitting money. W is water park money. All right, so 1 week he babysat for 3 hours, and then he did 10 hours at the water park and made $109. And then he babysat for 8 hours, and then he worked 12 hours and made $177. This I would want to do elimination for. How am I going to get there? Let's see. I could do 8 and 3, 16. We could do to 24. So let me do this by -8 and this multiply it by 3 and rewrite the new equations. So -24b -80w equals 108 times -8. -8, 64. And then let me rewrite this as positive 24b plus 36w equals 531. And we're going to just solve up and down. That cancels. I get -44w equals -333, and then I divide. Ew, I got a decimal. Did I multiply something wrong? Let's see. 24. Oh, so he makes, so if I divide -33, 3 divided by, I forgot, it's money, so we go round. So at the water park, he makes $7.57 per hour. So now let's plug it into the originals. Plus 10 times 757 equals 109. So 3b plus 75.7 equals 109. Then we'll subtract 109 minus 75.7. I get 33.3 equals 3B. Babysitting for $11.10 an hour. So that's how much you make per hour of babysitting. This is how much you make at the water park.